Hey everyone, Gill Gross here post-match. Ons Jabeur versus Marketa Vondrousova, Wimbledon 2023 final. If you're not here for spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. Vondrousova becomes the first unseeded woman to win Wimbledon. She takes her first major title, one that nobody could have expected. Vondrousova coming into the tournament with a 2-10 record on grass. Holy moly. I like to think about the fans on court 7 in the first round who are watching Vondrousova play Peyton Stearns, sitting front row courtside for the price of a grounds admission ticket, having no idea that they were watching someone who is going to be lifting the trophy in 2 weeks. It's just this kind of story. It's always what I think about because I understand how a major championship works. And it's so incredible to think about the journey that Vondrousova has gone on. And also, someone who, despite being someone who nobody could have predicted to win this title, somebody who also has shown tremendous talent at points. 2019, she makes the Roland Garros final. 2021, she gets an Olympic silver medal, and she's somebody who hasn't been healthy. And I think about kind of, Roland Garros and what we saw with Muchova. Very similar thing. Beware of these players who show you flashes and struggle for consistency based on physical issues and health, because those players can always come out of nowhere and surprise you. Muchova did it. Vondrousova did it, took it one step further and won the title. And it's inspiring to see that injuries can be speed bumps instead of roadblocks. So congratulations to Marketa and her fans. For Ons Jabeur, the story of the match, I think even when it comes to the tennis, is going to be Jabeur's struggles in this match to play her level and her tennis, feeling the pressure, letting it affect her emotionally, letting it hijack her game. I'll get to that in a moment. But let me, before I get to Jabeur, start with Vondrousova and talk about the things that she was doing. I mean, completely different from Jabeur's previous opponents, Kvitova, Rybakina, Sabalenka, because what stands out and what stood out about Vondrousova in this match was certainly not her power, certainly not the damage that she was doing with her serve or with her ground strokes, but her great movement and her defensive racket skills, which just put the onus on Jabeur to find finishes, to come up with well-executed aggression over and over and over again. Marketa's speed was certainly on full display, and it just felt like whenever she got the ball on her racket, it was coming back in the court. Her slice defense was tremendous. On the forehand side, she does a good job of taking the pace off and hitting kind of high and loopy defense, which gives her time to recover and makes Jabeur generate. The depth was good. Sometimes she was able to keep the ball very low from defensive positions. I mean, she's just really, really good defensively, and that presented the largest challenge against a player who just wasn't able to find any consistency. I also think the way she kind of produces her strokes were ideal for bothering Jabeur, particularly the forehand cross court. I mentioned that, she can play loopy defense, but frankly, her forehand, it's almost always loopy. She does not, she has a pretty Western looking grip and kind of a long swing. And usually there's plenty of height on the ball and plenty of topspin. And it doesn't come in all that fast. I think when ESPN showed the graphic, her average was like 75 miles per hour, might have been 76. And I was actually surprised to see it that high because it doesn't seem that fast. But Jabeur's backhand is not a very good pace-generating backhand. And I think Vondrousova asking it to create that pace, especially from high contact points. And I know we're on grass, but a lot of those backhands were from high contact points. So let's, shoulder level, create the pace. That was a tough position for Jabeur's backhand, which had an absolute crisis of confidence. 16 backhand unforced errors. That was mainly the shot that was leaking for Ons. Not to mention, when the ball is coming straight, you do not have to worry about your footwork as much. So, when it comes to like Rybakina or Sabalenka or Kvitova hitting the ball harder and flatter, and the ball is on a straight trajectory, you don't really need to worry about moving back or moving forward in order to get the ball in your optimal contact zone. But if the ball is traveling with loop, you do need to make the adjustments with your feet to, again, get the ball at the right height for your contact zone. Jabeur's feet were getting stuck, and that was a much bigger problem because of the way Vondrousova was looping the ball, looping her forehand cross-court into Jabeur's backhand. And then Vondrousova's backhand has just as much variety. It's just as crafty. It's a side where she does such a tremendous job of bringing in the drop shot. But I think the bigger factor was just how she was using the slice. Her backhand slice, middle of the court, giving Jabeur no angle, giving her no pace, making her hit from a low contact point. Ons, again, even on the forehand, not a heavy topspin hitter. Not somebody who loves, I think, to create pace from a low contact point, but is somebody who loves to redirect pace, as we've seen. Is somebody who does enjoy kind of playing that fast-paced game. And Vondrousova was slowing the game down and making Jabeur create off of that backhand slice as well. Not to mention, I do think that the backhand is the shot where Marketa does a good job of injecting her own pace. And I thought that there were some very assertive, aggressive, and effective backhands, particularly cross-court, from Vondrousova. Look, in general, it wasn't about, again, the baseline power. It wasn't really there. In fact, when Jabeur was dominating early and got off to a 4-2 lead in the first set, I was just thinking, man, it just seems like Jabeur, even in the power department, is the heavyweight on court, and that she's dictating all the outcomes because Vondrousova just isn't really able to create any damage off the ground. But that ended up, just not mattering that much. That was okay today. It was about getting the ball on the court and using the variety to challenge Jabeur's footwork and challenge Jabeur's pace generation over and over and over again. I'll add, last thing on Vondrousova, very comfortable responding to drop shots. The few times that Jabeur did go to that shot, which is obviously one of her bread and butter shots. Marketa has the speed. She's got the touch. She's got the familiarity in the front court, and the drop shots were just not going to cut it. Now Jabeur. I would give Jabeur, probably a failing grade for the performance, maybe a D. Like it was not good. Okay, there's no doubt about that. But or maybe I don't know if it's a but. I think the reason is she was in a pressure cooker. I talked about it after the semifinal. This match felt so important, overly important. And that is a challenge that Jabeur would have needed to overcome, and she didn't. When I say she's in a pressure cooker, here are the cocktails. Here are the ingredients. I'm looking at, first of all, her opponent. Jabeur's playing an unseeded player. She has major final scar tissue, 0-2 in major finals. She's felt the pain of losing in that spot twice. She's 28 years old. Look, is that old? Not really. It's kind of in your prime, but there's a big difference from that and being in your early 20s and just being like, hey, I have my whole career in front of me. Whatever happens in this match happens. I'll be back. Whatever. Plenty of time. That's obviously not a mindset that a 28-year-old is able to come out on court with. And lastly, some people have pushed back on me for this, but I really feel like Jabeur knows that Wimbledon is her best chance, with the fact that, hard court is her worst surface in terms of suiting her game. And on clay, Iga is just such a monster. It just seems like Wimbledon, where she can use her excellent pace, absorption, and redirection skills, Her slice first serve, which stays so low, is so effective. Her slice backhand, her net play, her drop shots. It just, grass is her best chance. Doesn't mean it's her only chance. And she knows that. And she wants Wimbledon really, really badly. So all of these things, I think, combine to create a very, very high-pressure environment for Ons. And she got negative very quickly in this match. She went dark easily. It didn't take much. So, ending on kind of this, like, will she do it? What can she do next time? Is this going to be a situation where it's almost like she retires and you're like, man, that final, that she'd really want that back? Well, look, I think what she needs to do, or what she needs in order to kind of win that major that she so desperately wants, she either needs a better circumstance or a way to stay positive. A better circumstance might be she comes in maybe in a hard court final as an underdog, like she did against Iga last year at the U.S. Open. Or, for some reason, she kind of drops out of the top 10 and people aren't really expecting that she's going to do it anymore. Then she gets to a major final and it's a surprise. Like, I think unless she changes something mentally, she's going to need the circumstance to relieve a little bit of the pressure. Because, we even saw it with Serena post motherhood, where I think after she lost the first two finals, the third one was even tougher. The fourth one was really tough. I mean, it just gets harder and harder and harder. Or she just needs to find a way to stay positive. I feel like she has a little bit of, bottling up syndrome, like something that I've talked about in the past with Felix until he fixed it, where I almost feel like she needs to use her voice out on court and use her body language to project positivity in moments that call for it. Like when she does something great, when she plays a great point or wins a big point, it's like, let it out. Like, let the tension out, scream, yell, fist pump. Like, maybe that's not her personality. But I just, when I'm watching and I'm seeing a player who's having so much trouble with the tension, win points, do great things, and not let it out, not get positive, other than like a racket shake or like a very stern, like kind of muted, stiff fist pump. Like, my thought is, are you actually relieving the tension in that moment? Could you be doing something a little bit differently to help the mind? And again, like, I think people, when I was saying that with Felix, I think some people were like, bro, like, why are you telling him to act a way that he is unnatural acting? And I felt kind of vindicated because Felix made the change. Like, you watch him now in these big matches. Look, this year there hasn't been much positive to celebrate, but you watch him last year, he's yelling on court. He's being big and positive. And I just think that's a big help when you're feeling the pressure to kind of let it out. I also hope that next time she's in this position, she'll force herself to play safe and get some rhythm. The fact is, Vondrousova is not challenged for defense. She's not challenged for consistency. But what would have happened if Jabeur just forced herself to make balls and just see if Marketa, could have come up with the offense, for lack of a better term? I don't know. Would Vondrousova have been there to meet the challenge? Maybe. But I think at a certain point, if you're Ons, you have to force yourself to make some balls. And I think she kept going for her shots, and I do wish she laid off a little bit. So I hope it gets done for Ons, because this was kind of painful, kind of hard to watch, because she is a character that's easy to root for, easy to get behind. She's worked very hard for a long time. She's a trailblazer, and she's a good enough player to do it. It would be a shame if she doesn't end up doing it. But, obviously she misses an opportunity here. For Vondrousova, again, congratulations. What a story. What a run. What a championship. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.